Right.
All right, JR, thanks for coming in today. Can you tell me what brings you in?
Stress and children.
Stress and children. Wow.
Specifically, my 7-year-old.
Gotcha. So what's special about your 7-year-old that really stresses you out?
Um, it is well. Maybe it's not so much him as it is more me, just trying to grasp the fact that at 7,
Mm-hmm.
um, my sphere of influence is kind of ending, and he's becoming more and more influenced by his peers.
Okay.
Um, and that wouldn't be a bad thing if I
Mhm.
thought that what he was picking up was of value.
Okay.
But so far, all he's really learned is how to talk back and choke slam his little brother.
Gotcha.
Um, not quite choke slam, but he's gotten a lot more
More
aggressive.
aggressive. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's becoming a problem because now he's also taken that same aggressive behavior and started using it towards his sister.
Mm-hmm.
I was only 3.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not like he's running around like ninja kicking everybody,
Right.
but it's just a more physical level of play that I see him do with his friends when I pick him up.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your feelings. So what's your feeling? What do you feel emotion comes out when you
You know, and
see that or hear that?
initially I get mad.
Mad.
Like, I get, really mad. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think. I'm just like, cut that out, stop it, and I yell.
Mm-hmm.
Then I just create a worse situation because then he's mad at me and
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't understand why he's in trouble because it's okay to do it with his friends.
Gotcha.
Because he's 7.
Seven, right.
That's what I lose sight of.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get frustrated because I'm like, he's 7, he's not 17.
Right.
He doesn't necessarily understand that you can't put your little brother in a headlock and throw him on the ground.
Gotcha. All right.
It's not okay to pretend kick your sister.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
it's not quite making those connections. And then, like I said, I get initially mad,
Right.
and then I get embarrassed because I got mad and frustrated, and then
Okay.
I tend to shut down. Then,
Gotcha.
like he takes it pretty hard. But I think as a parent, I take it harder.
Mm-hmm.
If
Right.
that makes any sense.
Yeah. Right. So just to kind of recap what you just said, though, you feel the anger,
Mm-hmm.
but you also said that you don't think. You don't think about it. You just react to it. Do you think there are some thoughts in there somewhere?
I'm sure there are, and yeah, like my initial thought, I think, is, oh my God, you're gonna hurt your
Mm-hmm.
brother or you're gonna hurt your sister.
Okay.
Um, especially in regards, to his sister, my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm differentiating the two, but
Right.
my
Okay.
daughter,
Right.
she does have the heart condition,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
even though the child has been through hell and back, and she's, endured so much, and she's shown me how strong
Mm-hmm.
a 3-year-old can be.
But you're still concerned.
Right.
Right.
Well, I
Yeah.
treat her like she's made of glass,
Right.
even now, even though like I've literally seen, her heart beating inside of her chest.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that, and I've seen her broken down to like nothing, and
Right.
she's come back, just
Mhm.
feisty, so feisty. My wife can attest to this more than I can, but I
Mhm.
still treat her like she's made of glass. So my
Mhm.
initial thought is, you're going to hurt her,
Right.
and then you're going to hurt your little brother because he's on this, he's
Mhm.
he's a little guy too for his
Right.
age. My daughter and my middle son weigh the same, and they're 4 years, 3 years between them.
Right.
I just
Mhm.
worry, I'm like, dude, you're gonna hurt them because you play too rough.
Mhm.
And then I think, okay, he's not really playing all that rough. He's just doing what he does with his friends. So like I said, I've seen them
Mhm.
after school and before school, and they beat the crap out of each other.
Has he hurt your son, or your other son, or your other daughter? Or...
He has, but it's been unintentional. It's one of those things where, oh, I didn't know that if I kicked him here, if I punched him there, or if I did this, it would hurt him.
Mhm.
So it's never like malicious, but there are times though when he will do it out of anger,
Mhm.
and that's when I really get concerned. It's
Okay.
one thing if they're just playing around,
Right.
because I have 2 brothers as well, so I know how boys play. Boys get rough. It's how it
Mhm.
is.
Right.
From what I understand, girls get rough too. It's not it's how it is.
Mhm.
But it's when it happens out of anger, like I didn't get my way. Like they fight over video games all the time.
Right. Okay.
One wants to play one game, the other wants to play the other game. And my middle son almost always will back down say, okay, we'll play your game, and he does it like in a very calm and
Mhm.
appeasing manner. But on those rare occasions where he stands his ground, my oldest like goes
Like
off.
California. Gotcha. Gotcha. So that's dealing with some anger, some
Mm-hmm.
thoughts about how he might hurt your other kids
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And you said, what were some of your behaviors, or what were some of your consequences, or what? How did you handle the situation again?
Oh, I yell.
Yell.
Yeah,
Okay.
I yell because
Mhm.
I don't have. I feel like I don't have time to process and be like, excuse me, what you're
Mhm.
doing is extreme. No, it's like knock it off right now.
Right.
No.
Right. Okay. And so is that how is that working for you?
I mean, it sometimes gets the job done,
Mhm.
but I know that it's not healthy. It's not the way that it should be. Like,
Mhm.
but like I said, I just don't have that moment to think, how should I approach this
Right.
rationally?
Okay.
Like I've tried, especially taking all of these classes and becoming more aware of some of
Right.
these things. Like I actually do try to like do just that and pause and think,
Right.
okay, before I flip out, let's see where this goes,
Mhm.
because there's no guarantee that they're going to fight.
Right.
There's no guarantee they're going to get hurt.
Right.
They are boys being boys.
Mhm.
Let's see where it goes.
Sounds like you got some really good thoughts there and good rationale on that. Just have to. What are some other? So you're thinking those positive thoughts. You're pausing
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, but sometimes it's hard to pause, and you still have the anger. Anger's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other things you think you might be able to do instead of yell? Is there anything else you can think of that might work?
Well, one thing that does work, and again, I don't know how healthy this is, but like there's a lot of intervening that goes on. There's a lot of just grabbing one or grabbing the other
Mm-hmm.
or grabbing them both,
Right. Moving
and
out of them.
separating them.
Mm-hmm.
Again, sometimes it's not done in the most gentle of manners. We're not talking about abuse here, but more just like get out of the situation kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Recently, though, my wife and I have both, because we've had this conversation about, okay, look, we can't just yell all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't forcibly intervene. We've got to figure out a different approach. So recently, we've started, both of us, like we'll catch each other or we'll catch ourselves, and we've actually calmly, okay, look, you guys need to stop. Let's make a rational choice. Let's talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's use our words.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and depending on what what time it is, whether or not they're tired, whether or not they've eaten, what the triggering event is,
Right.
it actually works.
Cool.
But then, like I said, then there are times when they'll just snap and go off on each other.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Have you taught your child any other ways to handle anger, or have you looked at any of those, you or your wife? Or what are some kinds other things that you teach them?
well, we try to go with the usual words, and
Mm-hmm.
recently, like very recently, we've tried to do like, okay, maybe you can't quite use your words, let's draw it.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna draw how we're feeling. We're gonna draw what's going on and how you at 7 or 5 or not quite 3, but 7 or 5
Mm-hmm.
perceive the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think is going on? What do you think is a better way to solve this other than smacking your brother with a Lego,
Mm-hmm.
or hitting him with a PlayStation controller?
Mm-hmm.
How do we resolve this without fighting?
Right.
And again, sometimes it works. Sometimes they're just too riled up and they're too
Right.
upset and they don't want to do it.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think you'll find that with kids. Some strategies are going to work good this time, and other strategies are going to work better this time. I think what you're doing is great. You're being aware of what's going on. You're aware of your thoughts and stuff, and you're coming up with different strategies. It's just going to keep practicing those strategies and keep working through them until they actually, become second nature, automatic thoughts or automatic. But that's yeah. I think you're definitely on the right track there, and I think that's good. And I think communicating with your wife is good about it too, so that way they can see the consistency there between the two of you also.
Right.
So yeah. So what else or what do you think that would work more than to help you bring your stress level down?
Um,
Do you, more strategies, more ideas?
Actually, I honestly think more tolerance,
Okay.
because one of the things that my wife and I have talked about is how a we understand that when our oldest goes to other kids' houses, because it's happening now, which
Mhm.
I was not prepared for at all.
Mhm.
But he's going to the houses and he's doing the sleepovers. Um, but we can't control what happens there. I
Right.
can't control, how Johnny's parents parent Johnny.
Right.
I can't.
No.
I'd like to, but I can't.
Mhm.
So A, understanding that, um, and then B, accepting that. Like, I think if I could accept it and be more tolerant of it and realize that I am not the world's greatest parent, I do not have all the answers. There are laundry lists of things I have done wrong, you know,
Mhm.
and I just need to accept that I don't have the answers.
Right.
But then again, neither does Johnny's parents, and they're gonna parent their kid the way that they see fit.
Right.
But what kind of brought all this to a head for me, and something I've been having a really difficult time um, just dealing with, was we did a play date at our house,
Mhm.
and this kid, my son's friend, had the audacity to ask me why I won't let my son play certain video games. Because I have, we have our little entertainment center, we have all the games out, and
Right.
they're separated daddy games and kid games.
Mhm.
And my kids know we don't touch daddy's games.
Right.
They're not for us, we don't play them, we don't look at them, they're just not our games. We have these games over here. Well, apparently, this other kid is allowed to play some of those games, which, you know what, whatever, it's not my business, same thing. But he asked me straight up, well, why can't Ollie, my son, play these games? I said, because you can't. Well, then can I? He's like,
No.
no. He's like, why not? My dad lets you play. I'm like, well, where are you right now? He's like, your house. I'm like, exactly.
Mhm.
And in my house, you will follow my rules.
Mhm.
And it was just, I don't know, it just struck me as such a weird, like, offensive thing to say to another adult.
Mhm.
You know, when you're 7.
Right.
Because when I was 7, I never, I hope anyways, I mean, kind of a few years removed from 7 years
Right.
old, but
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't think I would have gone to someone else's house and questioned
Yeah.
their parents. You know?
Yeah. Different times, isn't it? And like you said, you have no control over how they parent their kids, and they're going to come into your house. And we used to have a next door neighbor come in and open my refrigerator
That's it.
and get into it without
Mhm.
asking or not ask or asking what they can eat, what they can't eat, grab whatever they wanted.
Right.
And so it is stressful and it's hard because you don't have control over that. You can say, you know what, no, out of the refrigerator, or this is what you can have. You can have the juice or the apples or whatever, and that's it. But in our house we ask.
Right.
And so you kind of reinforce that hopefully then maybe. But yeah, you're like you said, you have no control over.
Yeah.
Just have to decide. So stress. How are we going to work on bringing that down?
I think just being more tolerant and just kind of maybe being mindful.
Okay.
Again, going back to things we've discussed in this class, breaking the fourth wall. But I mean, yeah, just being mindful, because I think a lot of times I tend to just get really wrapped up in, spinning or whatever they call it over this. I obsess over this one.
So what does mindful look like to you?
Honestly, it's little things. It's just being aware of my breathing. Just trying to experience myself in a moment. Like right now, just sitting in this chair, like feeling the chair, feeling the ground, just kind of grounding myself to realize that whatever it is that I'm obsessed with right now, or worried about, or stressed out about, is not the end of the world. It's not. It can't truly affect me unless I let it. By not letting it go. And a lot of times it's easier said than done. Because again, in a sterile environment like this, it's easy to say, oh well, I'm not going to worry about parenting. I'm not going to worry about homework, or my daughter's heart, or just all these things that are there.
Right.
But yeah, I think just being mindful, and when I feel it, coming up, that this is happening, like almost like anxiety attacks, or panic attacks, like just stopping. And that's something I've been really, really trying to work on. It's just that I can't control these things, so why bother? And then let's just focus on the now, because I feel like I've missed out on so much. because I've been so stressed out, so worried about all these things that I can't control.
So you're not enjoying the things that you should be
Yes,
enjoying right now.
yes, and that it really breaks my heart, especially when my daughter is concerned because I spent so much of her life worrying about her, and it's only recently that I've discovered that she's unaware. She knows what happened in the
Right.
sense that she sees the scar on her chest,
Right.
and she knows her heart is broken, but she
She just
doesn't.
wants to be a 3-year-old, doesn't she?
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And I have spent so much time like looking at her differently, treating her differently, and now it's coming back to bite us now because she's a spoiled brat. Oh my gosh, she has princess syndrome to the nth degree.
You know, there's a lot of girls that do.
That's what I hear.
A lot of girls that do.
That's what I
Yes.
hear.
So. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just being mindful of the here and the now,
Okay.
I think will help.
We're getting kind of close to the end of time here. So you talked about being mindful. So would you like to do a homework assignment on that, where
I-
just like, once a day or 3 times next week before we meet again, or be mindful and write it down, and then we can talk about it next week.
I like that.
Yeah, is that something you would be interested in doing? Okay, and you can do it as many, once a day, 3 times next week, whatever works for you. But just find a place where you can be mindful, write about it afterwards, and then we'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that. That's good.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we leave?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Well, thank you, dear.
Thank you.